Hi, I'm Kaden, here with my brother,
Cal,
and you're listening to Eating W's.
eat the W.
That's a W. Let's eat one. Let's eat one. That's a W.
So, on today's episode of Eating W's, we're just going to do a quick news rundown. A lot of stuff happened today. We are recording this on Tuesday the 8th, and you guys will be seeing it tomorrow, Wednesday the 9th. So, this
We're
is
gonna
just
have
a
to
quick
do another
rundown of
episode
news.
just off of anything that happens tonight. I mean, it's only like 2 o'clock right now.
Exactly,
We still
yeah,
got
it's
whole
a
rest of
crazy
the day.
We'll address the elephant in the room quick. We didn't change much. We actually just flipped the table we're sitting on, so we didn't get a new recording area or anything, but
Not yet.
we just had a lot of light coming through the window that's usually behind us, so we flipped it. And as you can tell, our faces are probably pretty bright, but hopefully I can get that a little fixed up during editing. But we'll
that's
see.
just the aurora coming off of me today. When the
Yeah,
Dodgers
exactly,
coming back.
exactly.
I mean, it's a good day for Packers fans, and we haven't had one of those since for a few months.
Yeah. So this episode will just be a quick news rundown and talk about the combine a little bit, and then make sure to watch tomorrow when we put out a episode of the first official mock draft, the start of mock draft season for us. We'll do my mock draft this week, and Callan will kind of just react, and then next week we'll do Callan's mock draft, and I'll kind of react to that, just to shorten up the episodes a little bit.
You already have to change your mock draft.
I already have to change my mock draft up a little bit, so maybe we're a tad early, but whatever. So now we'll jump straight into the news. So first of all, Calvin Ridley, the Falcons receiver, is reportedly being suspended for the entirety of the 2022 season after being found to have bet on multiple games in the 2021 NFL season, which include, I believe, 1,500 in wagers and almost 11 or a million in losses.
I think it was 11 million.
11 million,
losses.
wasn't it?
Yeah,
Okay.
something like that.
Yeah, it's
He had
crazy
some
numbers.
bad parlays, and he bet on the Falcons.
Yeah,
Which,
so
I mean, that was his first mistake.
I totally, for real, I totally understand suspending him. I'm not arguing that at all. But a year? I mean, he wasn't even playing. He bet for his team. It's not like he bet against his team and they lost.
Yeah, but he still got insider information.
He had no change of outcome. I agree that he should definitely be suspended, don't get me wrong. But a whole season
That's
just
the
seems
rules.
like so much.
It violates the integrity of the game. I
Yeah.
mean, you are an employee of the NFL, suspended or not playing or not. I mean, that's why the people that work at casinos can't gamble at their casino. So
we'll definitely have to keep an eye on that and see if that's changed
I
or
agree with
appealed
the
or anything
suspension,
by Ridley.
which I know a lot of people are freaking out about, but I get it. I understand it. It ruins the integrity of the game.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. Just the magnitude is insane to
It
me,
is.
considering he wasn't even playing. But moving on, we'll get to some franchise
He
tags.
could have been playing. I mean,
Yeah, that's true. He could have just Kansas City put a franchise tag on Orlando Brown Jr., their right tackle. The Jaguars place a franchise tag on Cam Robinson, also their tackle. The Dolphins franchise tag Mike Gesicki, their star tight end, which really surprises me.
Mhm.
They have the money.
They have
He's
a
a
lot
good
of
player.
cap room.
I don't know why they didn't just extend him. The
It might
franchise
just
tag.
be another formality.
Oh,
Or maybe,
before the
so
extension.
just so they don't hit the market, that way you can still negotiate with them.
That's a good point, but still kind of surprising me if the franchise tag there on Gesicki either way. With the money they have, they should have just made the extension.
But yeah, probably didn't get it done.
The Cincinnati Bengals franchise tag Jesse Bates, which is a big keep for them on that defense. And the Cowboys tag their tight end Dalton Schultz, which I think was another really good tag. So
a lot of franchise tags.
lots of franchise tags today. There's still 2 hours before the deadline, so I wouldn't be surprised.
Devontae is likely to be tagged.
Devontae is likely to be tagged, so I
but
wouldn't be surprised.
Again, not being told. I'm reading.
The insiders.
I don't want to be
the insiders are calling.
I don't want to be too
Callan,
ahead of
letting us
myself
know.
yet, but I'm reading that's basically, like I was saying, a formality where they will work on a long-term deal, and it's likely to get done before the closing window of the franchise tag.
Yep. And then as for extensions, so far there has been 2 extensions today. The Chargers and Mike Williams agree on a 3-year, $60 million extension with about $40 million of that being guaranteed, so a pretty big deal there for Mike Williams. And the Lions extended one of their receivers, Josh Reynolds, on a 2-year deal worth up to $12 million. So they're getting a pretty good player for pretty cheap there. So I think that's a good deal for the Lions.
That tells me they're keeping Goff.
I'd agree. I think they keep Goff. I think they maybe draft somebody. I don't think they use a first-round pick on a quarterback this year, but maybe get one of the later guys
Yeah.
and see if they can develop them up a little bit. But yeah, I think they definitely keep Goff for one more season. Probably a bad play, but we'll see. And keeping Goff any longer than you have to is probably a bad play, but maybe it'll kind of work out for them. And then finally, and of course huge news for Callan and other Packers fans, Rodgers agreed to a long-term extension with the Packers, but there's been no year or money official details.
That's a good way to put it. They've agreed on the details, not the details, but basically the language of the contract, and just need to hammer out the details. But it's going to be a long-term deal, it looks like, anywhere from 3 to 4 years, and he's going to be the highest paid player in NFL history. And it is likely to ease our cap number for the next 2 seasons. But it's a front-loaded deal.
Yep. So how are you feeling as a Packers fan?
Pretty good about it.
Right.
I know, people are like, oh, he's a diva and all that, and he wants, needs to be told that he's great and all this and pampered. Well, if I was that damn good at throwing the football, I think I would be a little bit selfish like that too. Good dogs still need a pat on the head every once in a while.
Yeah, definitely. And
he's a damn good dog.
So what is your prediction with Jordan Love?
I think they keep him.
Think they keep him?
Yeah. There's another report I'm reading where he could garner a 2nd-round pick, which if that's true, depending on where
it might
it's
be worth
at,
a second rounder.
I would take that deal only because, you could draft a late-round quarterback. Kurt Bankert, who was our 3rd string, did fantastic, in meetings and all that. They said he did really well. So I'm fine with Bankert being the backup, getting a late round, flyer on someone, and, trying to develop them. The COVID protocols are obviously all gone, so we won't have to worry about Rodgers missing any time for COVID again, hopefully. It's just as long as he can stay healthy.
Just from the outside looking in, I'd say if you can't get anything more than a 2nd-round pick, yeah, you might as well keep him. Mm-hmm. But I agree that if you get a 2nd-round pick there,
I'd take a 2nd rounder.
I think it's probably worth it.
Nothing less than that. It's worth it to keep him if only you're getting a 3rd or a 3rd and a 6th or something. I would just keep him. He's a very solid backup, as proven against Kansas City. He almost beat them on, defense played really well, but hey, you never know what'll happen. I'd rather keep the talented backup quarterback.
Yep. Man, the news is finally getting going. We made it to where the news is really coming in strong.
Free agency starts next Wednesday?
Next week? Yeah, that sounds
right.
I
know next week sometime. I'm not exact. Sure. But I think Wednesday.
Okay, and then finally to wrap up this episode, we're going to talk a little bit about the Combine. Not a ton of huge stuff came out of the Combine, but some big things happened. Things like Jordan Davis running a 4.78 at 341 pounds, I think, wherever he is. Just a huge man, really running well.
That's pretty fast for a big man.
I want to say 8 receivers under a 4.4.
Mm-hmm.
There was a
Set
couple.
the record for the most receivers under 4.4.
Running backs under 4.4. There's a good amount of corners under 4.4. Mm-hmm. There was some fast people. There was some pretty big bench presses. Kayvon Green out of Texas A&M, the guard, hit 31, I want to say, on the bench press.
Damn.
So that's a pretty damn good number. So lots of exciting stuff, but Cal and I just kind of wanted to do a recap on some of the players we talked about. So some of the guys that I thought would do good and that I were watching included guys like Daniel Falele, who didn't do great, but he did decent. Sam Howell, the quarterback that I really like, I'd say probably dropped his draft stock a little, actually. I don't think he did overly good in those drills. But I don't really like judging quarterback off of the Combine because they only get the 2 reps at a time, and I think that's a very weird way to do it. So it'll be fun to reevaluate him at his pro day. And, geez, I'm trying to remember who I kind of talked about. Oh, George Pickens. George Pickens, for his size, ran a really good 40. I want to say he ran like
I want to say it
a
was
4.44 or something like that.
Yeah.
Low 4.4, so that was really good to see from him.
Back in the day, used to be really good.
And now it's like average.
Yeah, that's
for his size
decent.
though. That was really good.
Mm-hmm.
Coming
No,
off
that's
the
really
injury,
good time. Still,
that's a
very
good time, definitely. And sadly, I didn't get to watch a ton of the drills. I saw a few linebacker drills. I saw guys like Trayvon Walker really stepped up.
Mm-hmm.
He actually played himself into my first round of the mock draft that you'll be seeing tomorrow. So that was good on his part. But how did some of your people do?
So my main guy I was watching was Christian Watson, who did really good. Really good 40 time.
4.2 or 4.38, I think.
4.3, yeah.
4.28. That'd be blazing.
I wish.
Yeah.
Well, he'd be going to the Raiders.
Yeah, 4.38.
But hey, there's enough receiver talent in this draft again where I think that receivers will fall because it's so deep. They'll pick players at positions that are more thinner first.
Certainly.
And receivers will fall, which is kind of what happened last year a little bit. And then they did an update on Jamison Williams, who said he was ahead of schedule on his ACL recovery, so that's good to hear. And then Fedarian Mathis, he was one of the top performers in the vertical jump and the 20-yard cone, so that shows good explosiveness off the line.
Yep, you love to see stuff
and
like
then,
that.
The punt god, Matt Areza, had a 75 and an 80-yard punt that the 80-yarder nearly downed itself at the 1-yard line. He had downed itself. He punted it and it backspinned and just rolled into the end zone. But with a coverage team, that's down inside the 5. Guaranteed.
Oh, yeah. I, of course, haven't been watching the Combine very closely the past few years or before I really started watching football, but I have to imagine that was probably the best performance by a punter. It was so good.
Don't remember seeing kicking drills during the Combine till this past weekend. So
yeah, that guy, like we talked about last episode during the Combine with the Evan McPherson thing. Now that guy might go pretty damn early in the draft, especially if he can keep it up. But I just
someone will fall in love with him,
110%. And I just realized the thing I totally forgot to mention was the offensive linemen were fast. There was 10 offensive linemen under a 5-second 40 this year, which is just insane.
It was also one of the fastest offensive lineman 40s.
Yep, and one of those guys, I just remembered, was one of my guys, Trevor Penning out of UNI, ran a 4.89, which is really good. I don't think he did the bench press, but I heard he did decent on his drills. Like I said, sadly didn't get to see the lineman drills, but so Trevor Penning might have really played himself up in draft stock a little bit. So good to see there. But that was kind of our quick recap episode for this week. You, of course, saw the Russell Wilson news yesterday, and you'll be seeing my mock draft tomorrow. So busy week. But thank you all for watching today's episode. And until next time, don't forget
to eat the W.